You pass her on the way to work. She is sitting on the pavement, back against the wall, eyes half closed. A few people glance. Nobody stops. You slow down for a moment, feel something pull at your chest, and then keep walking. You tell yourself someone else will help. Someone more qualified. Someone with more time. And that thought, that exact thought, has let people die for decades. This is the bystander effect. And the story behind it is far stranger than you think. It starts with a murder, not a metaphor, a real one. On March 13, 1964, a woman named Kitty Genovese was stabbed to death outside her apartment building in Queens, New York. The attack lasted over 30 minutes. It happened in 3 separate bursts, with the attacker leaving and returning twice. And according to the original New York Times report, 38 neighbors witnessed some part of it. Not one called the police until it was over. The story exploded across America. 38 witnesses. Nobody called. The question it forced into the public consciousness was not about the attacker. It was about the neighbors. About ordinary people who heard screaming in the night and chose silence. What kind of person does that? The answer, it turns out, is you. 2 social psychologists named Darley and Bibb Latané were so disturbed by the Genovese case that they designed a series of experiments to figure out what had actually happened. Their first study, published in 1968, is now one of the most replicated findings in all of psychology. They brought participants into a room to fill out a questionnaire. Then they pumped smoke through a vent in the wall. When participants were alone, 75% left the room to report the smoke within 6 minutes. When 3 strangers were in the room together, only 38% reported it. When the other 2 people in the room were Confederates, actors paid to ignore the smoke, just 10% of participants ever reported it at all. 10%, with smoke visibly filling the room around them. Darley and Latané called this phenomenon diffusion of responsibility. The more people present in a crisis, the less any single person feels personally responsible for acting. The responsibility doesn't concentrate. It spreads thin. It evaporates. Everyone assumes someone else is handling it. And so no one does. But it goes deeper than that. There is a second force at work, and it is even more powerful. It is called pluralistic ignorance. Here is how it operates. You see something that might be an emergency. You are not sure. You look around at the other people nearby. They also look calm, unbothered, going about their business. So you conclude it must not be serious. What you do not realize is that every single one of those people is doing the exact same thing. They are each looking at you, seeing your calm face, and concluding that it must not be serious either. The entire group is performing confidence for each other. Nobody is actually confident. Everyone is afraid of embarrassing themselves by overreacting. And so a woman can bleed on a subway platform while a dozen people stare at their phones, each one reassured by the composure of everyone else. Researcher Stanley Milgram, the same psychologist known for his obedience experiments, studied pedestrian behavior in New York in the 1970s and found that density itself changes moral behavior. The more people crowded into a space, the more each individual retreated into what he called urban overload mode, a kind of emotional shutdown that filters out stimuli to prevent sensory overwhelm. In a city of millions, you cannot feel the pain of millions, so your nervous system learns to feel none of it. What Milgram found was not cruelty, it was adaptation. The same system that keeps you from having a breakdown on a crowded subway is the same system that lets you walk past a crying stranger without stopping. Now here is the part that should bother you, because it is not just street emergencies. The bystander effect shapes your behavior in meeting rooms, in comment sections, in family arguments. You have sat in a meeting where something was clearly wrong and said nothing because nobody else spoke up. You have watched someone be treated badly in a group setting and done nothing because you assumed someone with more authority would intervene. You have scrolled past a post that troubled you because thousands of other people had already seen it, and presumably, someone was dealing with it. The group does not make you braver. It makes you passive. It gives you permission to outsource your conscience. But here is what Darley and Latané also found, and what rarely gets included in the headline version of this story. The effect is reversible, almost completely, with one simple change. If you are given direct personal responsibility, if someone points at you specifically and says you, call 911, the diffusion disappears. Instantly, the responsibility stops spreading and lands where it belongs, on a single human being who can now act. In their studies, when participants were told that they specifically were responsible for monitoring another person's well-being, the response rates jumped back to near 100%. One person, named, responsible, that was enough. Psychologist Peter Fisher, who reviewed over 50 studies on the bystander effect in a 2011 meta-analysis, found something else worth knowing. The effect is actually weaker in situations perceived as genuinely dangerous. When bystanders believe someone is in serious physical danger, they are more likely to help, not less, especially when they feel capable of helping. The paralysis is strongest in ambiguous situations, where it is unclear whether something is an emergency at all. That ambiguity is the trap. Your brain is running a social calculation every time you witness something that might require a response. It is asking, is this really an emergency? Will I look stupid if I react? Has someone else already called? And the answers it gets from the crowd around you are always the same. Probably not, possibly yes, and probably. So now you know the shape of the trap, which means you can step outside it. The research is unanimous on this. If you want to help someone in a public emergency, do not appeal to the crowd. Do not shout, "Someone call an ambulance." Point at a specific person. Make eye contact. Say, "You, in the red jacket, call 911 right now." Name them. Make them the one. Because the moment responsibility becomes singular instead of collective, people act. Every time. And this is true beyond emergencies. When you are the only person who says something in a meeting, you give everyone else permission to agree. When you stop for someone on the pavement, you break the spell of pluralistic ignorance for everyone watching. When you act as if you are the one responsible, even when there are 100 other people who could do it, you short-circuit a system that has been paralyzing crowds for as long as crowds have existed. On March 13, 1964, 38 people heard Kitty Genovese scream. The later reporting was flawed, the number was exaggerated, some witnesses did not have a clear view, one neighbor did call police. The facts were messier than the myth, but the psychology the case inspired was real. Darley and Latané ran their experiments. The findings held, and what they found was not that humans are cowards. They found that humans are social creatures, running ancient social software in modern urban environments it was never built for. You evolved in groups of 50 to 150 people. In a group that small, responsibility could not diffuse. Everyone knew everyone, and inaction had consequences. Now you move through crowds of thousands every day, surrounded by strangers your nervous system does not know how to wait. The bystander effect is not a character flaw. It is a feature running in the wrong context. So the next time you slow down on the pavement, feel that pull in your chest and hear the thought, someone else will handle it. Remember that everyone around you is thinking exactly the same thing, and understand that this means it is actually you. It has always been you. You are the someone else that everyone is waiting for. Tonight, when you pass her on the way home, you already know what to do.